All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So, life is strange because when I was a young boy, I remember my mother, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. She worked at Kensington Hospital and she worked at St. Christopher's Hospital. And she would come home from a night shift doing lab draws. She was a lab technician back then. And she would just have this immense PTSD from teenagers dying of drug overdoses in the 70s. So I don't know. My mother might be behind this. Do not underestimate my mother. I don't. I don't know. We got this connection to Kenzie. We never lived there, as far as I know. But she lived in Overbrook and Logan and Northeast. I think that's basically where my family's been. Who knows? Maybe somebody, it could be something weird, like back when our family owed somebody from Kensington because we came to the United States or something. They helped us, right? 100%. Could be a family thing that we don't know about. We came here. I think some of us came like in 1905, and then some came in 1915. I think. Right. So it's weird. I think we left, like right before World War One. Like all people that were emigrating in our family were cleared out before even World War One. Right. Well, my father was in. My real father was in World War II when he was 15. He's one of those young guys that faked his age or whatever it was. So make sure, again, you got to make sure they don't blab anything, but people should call their families, recommend that they call their families. Anybody that's part of the operation that can call their family, make sure they call their family and get time to call their family and help their family feel comfortable because that's part of this thing. Right. The weirdest thing before G-Day was was the Catholic priest. That was weird for me. So we're getting ready to roll. I don't remember what stage it was. I know it was. I think we're getting ready to roll out to the border. So it was probably like maybe a couple weeks prior to G-Day. But we're all deploying to our because we did our training gig, right? And then when we trained up, rehearsed everything, and they moved us out to meet up with our maneuver elements that we had been training with, but we were all, we'd go back to our little hide spots between training things, right? And then the Catholic priest did his thing and gave us communion. I'm like, this is weird, like Vietnam, because he's got his robes on, right? Right. This is what I want to say. I don't know who just came up in my head, but maybe it was Hashem. I don't know. No negative Nellies. Okay. So make sure the commanders are pumping up the troops and making them feel like, they're invincible and, this is it and this is the right thing to do. Correct. Because we were like the odds of before we actually figured a lot out, like the last month, I think it is, or 2 weeks to a month. I think it was a month before G-Day, they started figuring out like all this stuff. And when the probability of our life expectancy was very low, and but they figured some key things out and changed the whole thing, right? And they underestimated the effect of the air war. Right. So So we would get told things like we were going to die and all this. And we're like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Thanks, boys. Right. Well, we got to like, but it wasn't because of the technology that was figured out that this captain did. He actually had a Silver Star. He did a great job before going, psychologically before going on G Day, and then did a great job on G Day. A tank commander, captain, I forget his name. Right. So he got a Silver Star for what we all did. Part of it was what I did, but people hate me, so I don't get anything. Thanks, Larry. I have no idea. Again, the deep state must have been alive and well. Somebody was paying, right? Right. When you're good at what you do, they just try to kill you, man. I mean, it's just the way these knuckleheads are. So, right. So well, part of it was the friendly forces went forward without clearing the bunkers. This is part of why our task force was identified and why he received the Silver Star, but it was really us. When you get down to who actually, and I can't remember exactly my part in it, but it was a major part. And I know I was getting the tracks. We took our tracks. We had just had 113s, or we also had like Bradleys and M1s, as far as being on the front like that. And the funny part, and I guess it wasn't funny, but the amount of explosives that we had in our tracks, we should have actually been in the most protected vehicle, because if it went off, that would be it for everyone within a certain radius, right? But they hadn't cleared the bunkers. Everybody just assumed the bunkers were cleared. So you look and you see these eyes peering out of the bunkers. So we maneuvered the tracks around, and then a couple of squads of engineers dismounted, went in. I had already read. I didn't care because I already read that book. Which was the one? I forget what it's called. It's about the Korean War. It's the one that everybody like at West Point like had to read or something. But it talks about MacArthur coming in for an award ceremony, and they're in the middle of the Korean War, which my father was in also. So they're in the middle of the Korean War, and they're like, MacArthur's coming in. You have to give us whatever the number was for awards, right? And he's like, I can't put people off the front line because these are people that should be getting the medals, right? And so they ended up lining up all the cooks and like the office people, and MacArthur gave the medals to like the cooks and the and the office people, like Bronze Stars and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, just another day in paradise, right? Somebody, like I said, I think it was based upon what happened before I left, but I had no culpability there. I was just a homeless person trying to get my life back in order, right? And again, they wanted me out of the city because I had exculpatory information. Back then, nobody brought exculpatory information into their trial, right? 2%. If they could avoid it, they could avoid it. So. Right. My mother talked to them, and that was it. But I think somebody was stalking me back then, trying to make some bullshit about it, right? So they would, everywhere I went, they, it took them a while to wire in and get the word out. These guys, whatever they said, right? But then that ruined my chances for all sorts of stuff. Nobody trained me. I'm self-trained. I mean, I did go to sapper school, but most of what I do is you're not going to find that in like every other sapper. Right. I even started training before I went in the military. I used to read those magazines in the one of my teen years. I guess I started Gung Ho and Soldier of Fortune. Now we can't turn a blind eye to anything anymore. It has to go. Now, some of this corporate downturn, like shrinking, you realize it's not all of it, but some of that's deep state employees. They're getting rid of some of their deep state employees. They're not going to tell you that, right? Thank you, Orange. No, deep states, it's not there to crank out the money as much anymore. Like, I mean, you pay us $1 million, we'll hire a couple people at, $100,000 a year or something. Right. And then they're the deep state people in the business. But again, it could go the other way. Nobody knows who they are for sure sometimes. So I want to do my prayers, but all I can find is my PA flag hat. They cursed my yarmulkes away, my keepers away. I think there might be one in my vehicle. It just depends what story they're trying to tell. Like right now, they're probably trying to say, well, I think he's impersonating a police officer because he has a subdued Pennsylvania flag on his hat. Not in a million years. I say I'm retired. Everybody I spoke to after I retired, right? They're the ones that drive around like they're the police, right? Neighborhood watch squirrels, right? I'm waiting for a cabinet out here so I can set up my porch. I don't know if the one I ordered is going to be good, but I can use it on the other side at the entrance if I need to. No big deal. It's so gorgeous here. I can't believe I was in those shitty states. I think I was drugged. I really do. Based upon how my body's responding, I believe they drugged me on and off the whole time. Right. Yes, it affected my neurology. I believe it weakened my neurology. Thanks. And everything tightens up, which is weird. But if they weaken your neurology beyond a certain point, everything gets lazy and then it tightens up, which is kind of the reverse of what you think it would do. Right. No doubt I was drugged, but I can't tell you when and where. I love this mezuzah. So freaking awesome. So it's weird. I move in and I got these new cameras. I just like started buying them, and they'll track you, but it has like a main camera. The problem with a tracking camera is that you can deceive it into tracking one person while another person walks in another direction. So you need two cameras. You need one wide angle view camera and then one that follows the person and keeps following me. But it looks like a robot or something. It's weird. You actually feel like somebody's watching you with this camera. It's a great camera. It's actually two cameras. But I move in and it's never said this anywhere I've moved. It starts talking about cameras. And it says it's almost like you shall not stalk your neighbor with cameras. Because she's going through it and I'm saying, this is really weird. She says, yeah, I know. I said, I think something happened before that they put this in here, like somebody stalked their neighbors with cameras. So Vietnam vet in an old rusty trailer, got 19 cameras. Yelling gooks in the wire all night. Something like that. But again, I'm married Asian, so I just using making a joke. That's all. Right. But this thing is like the closest thing to a camera that would stalk your neighbor. But the way I have it positioned, it only looks away from where I have it positioned if the person walks up to my door. Like right now, it's following me where it could catch a glimpse of my neighbor or something like that. But it's only because I walked up to the door. If I don't walk up to the door, then it won't point this way. Although I do have, like everybody else's, doorbell cam. That's going to look out. But it's not going to like stalk anybody. But this camera does stalk people. It's stalking me right now. No, it's to protect my mezuzah. They stole my mezuzah in Kansas when I first got there. I'm sure the dirty, corrupt popo were part of it. Right. Boy, it's just gorgeous out here. I just can't even fathom why I couldn't get back, other than Satan and the Satan's people that were upon the earth, who most likely have passed on at this point. Right? Yeah, some of the deep state has died off. There's a Republican deep state, believe you me. Johnny Hughes was Republican deep state. Right? That's what happened. Right? But there were people before him. It's just he just happened to be able to take over and do what he did. So the ark is looking great. I cut the legs down, the feet off, and made it a flat bottom, and it dropped it down about 4 inches. And I really like that height better. I was able to get the Nartamid back up with ribbons. So, or wrapped with ribbon. I wrapped it with ribbon. I didn't know if it was going to work. I just couldn't get to it. But then one day I got to it, and boy, their curses were pretty horrific. Yeah, I've been hurting for about a day or so. I'm getting better now. But it was weird because I was healing. I'm like, wow, I'm healing. And all of a sudden, hit the ground. Feels like it did something to my toenail too. I'm like, what? Like it crushed it or something. But I'm feeling better today. My thumb was screwed up. I was trying to sleep last night. You know what that's like. But it's minimized. But I got to get finished getting it cleaned up in here and getting it all set up. I had to return some of the vinyl. I was hoping they had more of this one. But what they said is people have now moved away from vinyl sheeting. Like, I mean, it's pretty quick, like maybe a year or two. Right. And they're all into those other plank floors. Right. And it makes sense. If you mess one up, you pull the plank up and just replace the plank instead of the sheet. Right. But that means there's nothing really that much out there. There was tons of stuff. I think this stuff that I have right here is actually one of the ones I wanted, like from Home Depot. But I was like, I'm just going to buy the remnant from Menards. It's easier. So I ended up getting something like what I wanted, but I just use them. I use them like area rugs. People protect their flooring with area rugs. Right. It already worked. Right. So I got to set my shed up. Hashem said that I can't go with the full plan that I wanted, which was three cabinets across the back, which was just two small, narrow locker type cabinets, and then a big cabinet in the middle. That'll work, but I was going to put shelving up the right side and up the left side. Hashem said, well, when the winter hits, if you only put the shelving on one side, you can put your shop tools on the other side and then use this as a shop when it gets cold and just plug in some sort of heater. Right. So I said, okay, that sounds great. Then I'll have to do it in the house. I'll have to use a miter saw in the house. Right. Because you got to clean up. I did it the other day and I had to clean up. I used a circular saw to cut the legs off of this thing. I ended up fixing it outside because I couldn't get it right that night. Right. This is pretty cool. But I'm trying to get back to the prayers. So the struggle now, the fight is to find my my kippah yarmulke. So let's see what we got here. Go settings, video. Oh, that's what I was supposed to do. So the cues are still screwed up. Let's see what we got here. So I was able to do that, and then the ribbon doesn't look too bad at all. Came out pretty good. Wait, is this mirrored? I can't tell. Yeah, it's just something's wrong with the mirroring. That's why I fixed that last time. Yeah, it keeps going back to the default mirror. There, it's now. It's kind of orange. You can't. It looks white there, but it's orange. And what's funny about this paint is it's Montana gold, uh, chromatic gold. Okay, it says that it doesn't have a very resonant coating, and because it's metallic, you can't clear coat it or it loses the metallic look. But it tarnishes like real metal. It's weird because now it's like antiquing itself. It's bizarre. I don't know if that was their intention, but if you just like have it out in the elements, it gets dusty and all that. Because I don't touch it all that much. Right? It's just it actually it tarnishes like real metal. I don't know if it has real metal. I don't think it does, this particular paint. Now they almost took out the lions, so I was kind of looking to see if there were any more lions, and they're not available. I grew used to these. I think I have two more, or at least one more, but I think it needs a little repair. And this one now needs a little repair. Now I put them as the shofars down at the bottom instead of the top. I think it looks better that way. And then I put the lions up at the top. So I got to get back to the lighting something every. I got a bunch of candles, and I remember I found out I had a bunch of oil pods. So I have a lot of different stuff. I just got to get back to it. So that's pretty cool how I couldn't like drill into the wall. So I just can't figure out, my two spare bedrooms don't have curtain rods. They'll put curtain rods in with special anchors so you don't have to drill or anything, which worked real nice for me. But two of my windows don't have it. And if you don't know, in the winter when it gets real cold, if you pull those you have heavy curtains like I do, you pull it across and it's insulation. But I guess in there I'll just lay some plastic out or something, do something with it. Again, I don't believe in killing. Again, thou shalt not kill is real, but you know, self-defense is real too. And again, we're not really self-defending; we're defending other people. Again, the things that the Lord says has to be taken contemporaneously. The problem is they kill the prophets, and like I'm one of the biggest prophets that's probably ever been on the planet, but I can't get anywhere to explain things to people. Right? And if I had my place, we wouldn't need the wars because we take care of it before the war would happen. Well, they hit the heartland of Sinaloa narcotics distribution in Chicago. And believe you me, they're picking up intelligence uh, for use later in other things that we're going to do in Central America. So you have to take that more. You can't see that far. I've got some more lighting in here so you can see the stands like it did the other day. Yeah, it's an air time and it stays on 24/7. I can't believe how well this boom worked out in the end. I didn't think I was going to be able to do the ribbon, but then when I did it, it looked pretty good. The Satan was causing discouragement and doubt. Now these are, like I said, a menorah replica of the real menorah, and they're non-functional, so I use them as kind of what they would call that, kind of a trim piece for the ark. But it's made by the Good Seed people. The problem is all the menorahs being made are now made like that stupid one. I mean, I was like, why are these menorahs looking like this? And then I saw that. I said, because these idiots say this is how the menorah is supposed to be looking. Well, that's what's on the Arch of Titus, but it's also other places. You can see the connection. Is it exact? Probably no, but this is more realistic than what they have in there. Because we're talking, that's like 1800s technology. Maybe a little, maybe you had technology like that since the 1400s, but you did not have that kind of metal technology, or the Israelites didn't, at least, during that period of time, right? It's like they're like gypsies, right? Gypsies that finally settled down somewhere. Right? So I think they have Halloween here. This would be really weird because this would be the first time I kind of was around Halloween. I guess celebrated. I don't know if I celebrate it, but since Pennsylvania. Right. Thanks, Larry. Watch what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to make pre-packaged bags and just go bink, bink, bink. It's the easy way. I might even put them out there. Just let people grab them. I don't know. I'm going to have that cabinet here probably Monday. I was hoping to get one sooner. They were in the head the whole time. The blue one would have looked good too. It was blue and like wood tone. But this one's like an arch top black one. It's very simple. So it's got an LED light though, which makes it great for Halloween. kind of a scary looking cabinet. But if it doesn't work, I'll bring it inside and put it by the front door on the opposite side of the wall, and then put my keys in there and stuff when I get back home. And then buy something else for out there. I don't have money, but I foresee that at a certain point I'll get my credit up. I really depleted my cash reserve just so I could get my one credit card that I used for the trip paid down some more to see if I can get a few more points on my credit score. I foresee that I'm going to get a loan. I mean, I only probably need a few thousand more than it'll be a loan combined with my other loan amount. And then I'll, roll it over into that other loan, which will look good because I'll pay the one loan off. Right. I never would have got sick if they were forced to stay away from me. If I could, massages and all those things, I'd have been fine. I'd had a perfectly healthy life, been married and everything else. So that woman, that's very interesting for me. It freaked me out to look like at first I connected and I'm like, I'm trying to think into her mind. I said, drugs? Are you addicted to narcotics? What's going on? Pills? What is it? Just trying to get some vibe there. And she's a good person. I could tell inside. But it's just like, what's her name? Monica Marie's from Santa Fe. What kind of life do they have when they get stuck in prostitution at a young age? It's all screwed up. Again, there's a certain level of possession and bondage with that needs to be healed. A good doctor could do it. Part of it is I don't know if he knows. I don't know what he knows, but my rehabilitation doctor was a good person. That's why they had him screw up the one thing, because he's a good person. I was trying to figure him out, but he's a good person. He might be real. He's definitely real inside. Right. So he's actually expending himself to heal his patients. Not every doctor does that. Right. Thanks, Larry. So that's part of what broke me out, got me away from those people. Well, he thought, like, I thought he was using steroid, and he didn't. He just needled me. And I'm like, ah. I was planning. I was wondering why I wasn't healing, right? But again, needling works also to a certain degree. But at a certain point, I need steroid, or I just keep tightening up. Right. But again, it's them. That's the blinds the mind lest we see. He would have been out with it more so, and I'm like, no, I need steroids. Right. I had no idea that he wasn't going to use steroids. And I mean, how long did it take me to get steroid? I mean, it took months to get to that point because they keep cursing me. Oh, I keep cursing them. Bullshit. You're all sickos. Because 20 years ago, why'd you do it 20 years ago? Why'd you do it 15 years ago? Why'd you do it 10 years ago? See, it's all bullshit. You'll burn in hell, all of you. The scriptures describe all of you and your churches and your synagogues and your Hindu temples and your Sikh temples as the ones that are going to burn in hell. You can continue to play your game and point your fingers at the people you victimize and turn into sinners. Abracadabra and psyop. You're disgusting, all of you. And you'll burn in hell. Playing this game like everybody that they push out into again, it's Ezekiel 34. Read Ezekiel 34. That's what's going on. They're sickos. For a few dollars more. It's never enough for them. They could have $20 million and still want another $2 million, another $10 million, another $50 million. They'll do the dirty deed over and over again until they take it off the planet and go to hell, just like the ones that used to do me here. Right? I wholeheartedly believe that the narcos were running this country and still run parts of this country. That's what's happening in Kansas. The narcos run Kansas. Right? Oh, yeah, you'll bust somebody who's not covered under the thing. Right. That's the scam. We're the heroes. We busted narcotics distributors. We don't work with them. No, you work with the guy and the gal that pay you. Right. That's a different entity. Possibly Sinaloa. Right. Right. In Santa Fe, it was what was it, Chihuahua or something? Right. That's who actually ran Santa Fe, Chihuahua, Mexico. Well, let's hope we have we have an accomplished prep up, run up to any type of G war where they just get, we just move in and that's it. Right. That's the goal, really. Mexico's going to be a little more difficult, but let's get this one done. And it might not be as difficult once we amp up the Psy war. All it takes is just, enough people to say that's it simultaneously with our entrance, and then it's over. Right. Like I say, narcos no more. Narcos no mas. Right. No, that's it. Destroy their dominance across globe. I mean, the money, even your real estate people are into it. They don't care if somebody's a drug dealer. Well, yeah, if they get busted, good. But, I'm going to get that money. Right. They're going to get that money. That's what they do. Right. They don't care. They like that narcotics money because but it's not. You can't build a real economy on that because it costs us so much money because of the narcotics. It cost us everything, actually. It cost my life. If there wasn't that much narco power or anti power, should I say, and narco money, my life would have been fine. Don't believe these fake PIs and shit running their fake investigations while they torture somebody for the cartels. I was tortured, man. I went through a spy war. for the last 30 years even. Didn't know what it was till about 20 years ago. Disgusting, piggish people. They'll burn in hell. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.